yeah.
For one, somebody's read the book already. For one, Leo Abel Johnson. Written by Agent Albert Rosenfield.
Yeah!
It's not often I'm tempted to begin one of these by suggesting he made the world a better place by taking early retirement. But in this case, I'm willing to make an exception. My own interaction with this knuckle dragger was fleeting, but he left a vivid impression, not unlike the livid marks in his soon-to-be ex-wife's neck after he nearly strangled her. His entire lifespan could easily be written off as a scathing indictment of our public education system, but to be fair, you'd probably have to go all the way back to the crossroads where Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal went their separate ways and say Leo's forebears took the path less traveled. So for starters, it wasn't the spiders that killed him. Whatever evil genius, and I'm looking at you, Wyndham Earle, decided to hoist a bag of tarantulas over his head as a dire threat to Leo's health, obviously wasted far too much time watching Vincent Price movies and not nearly enough studying arachnids. Tarantulas aren't even fatally venomous, dipshit. They just look scary. I'm going to go out on another limb and conclude that the 5 gunshots to his upper thoracic had slightly more to do with the late lamented Johnson's tragic demise. Patterned in a punctilious little circle around his heart with one to grow on, dead center. Unfortunately, aside from the killer, it appears that said spiders were the only witnesses. Observations: the 5 9mm slugs were all still in the body. He had, I'll put it delicately, an excess of mass to help slam on the brakes. And there were no powder burns on his clothes or skin. Ergo, shot from across the room by someone with a low pulse and nifty marksmanship. Scuff marks near the door where it appears the shooter set his feet bureau style. Just a working theory because who the hell knows where he's shuffled off to, but my money's all on our old pal Wyndham. Also, circular pattern of electrical burn marks around Leo's neck, a canine shot collar on the floor nearby, sized for a St. Bernard. Nice, Leo must have made a first-rate slippers fetcher. Massive bruising over most of the body, cigarette burns, signs of malnutrition, even traces of birthday cake in his hair. Wyndham obviously enjoyed a lot of fun with the poor bastard. Now, on the other hand, the damage to his nasal passages and sinus cavities, which look like a depleted uranium mine, appear to be entirely self-inflicted. Like the commercial almost says, things go better with crystal meth. That goes double if you're trying to keep your eyes peeled all night while hauling a load of cheap mattresses from Boise to Bishop. Now, this interested me. Leo also had a bullet lodged near the 3rd vertebrae of his lower lumbar spine. Conclusion: this is an earlier injury from a different weapon, from a .22 caliber, which he had been treated for some weeks earlier at the local hospital. The IC resident's diagnosis from that time noted Leo as suffering from paralysis of the extremities, but concluded that once surrounding inflammation subsided, he might, and apparently did, recover the use of his limbs, if not his senses. So you might well ask, who shot Leo the first time? According to the jacket meticulously assembled by our hero, by, as they refer to them here in East Rubesville, local law enforcement, Leo evolved from consumer to trafficker at some point in his sunset years. Going by the peek I took inside his cranium, impairment of moral judgment would have been the least of his symptomatic responses. He clearly suffered a cerebral hemorrhage within his last few weeks of life, but I'll spare you the clinical verbiage, Chief. His brain looks like a dog's breakfast. By the way, forgive the stains on this page. Writing this as I enjoy yet another delicious and oh so flaky chicken pot pie, 3rd night in a row, from that same local quarter-star bistro, the greasy spoon you keep raving about with the pie and the coffee. Pardon me, Gordon, but on the whole, to quote William Claude Duncanfield, I'd rather be in Philadelphia, where you are undoubtedly luxuriating at this very moment in your silk smoking jacket, enjoying a fruity Bordeaux with another one of your imported nieces. Sorry, trigger warning. Repeated and prolonged proximity to moribund logging communities sets off my misanthropy, but indulge me long enough to offer a brief comment socially. If the good folks of burgs like these would put down the remote and the beer or the bong and stay out of their off-road vehicles and duck blinds on weekends in order to punch the clock on some career counseling or community college. They might have a fighting chance to switch horses when the Turk comes to shutter their 19th century industrial meal ticket. Because the Turk is coming. The world is changing pronto, Chief, and now that these salt-of-the-earth folk realize they've been left behind, it's going to be sheer hell catching up. And I know I'm a raging asshole. And speaking of entrepreneurial initiative, here's a no-brainer. Why don't some of these enterprising yokels kickstart a craft brewery here in town that instantly attract an endless stream of thirsty proles, and the only competition is swill. Well, enough community building for one night. To sum up, Leo Johnson's dead, having a hard time arguing the local landscape isn't trending upward because of it. Next case. Save me a glass, you cosmopolitan swill. Albert.